Welcome to Last Breath Diaries. Thank you for joining me this evening. Before we dive into tonight's story, pour yourself a drink, sink into your favorite spot on the couch, let the world fade away, take a deep breath, get comfortable, and settle in. Tonight, we step into the shadows and into the story. Nobody Called, Part 1. Welcome back to Last Breath Diaries. In the quiet of a hospital night, time moves differently. Monitors beep, fans hum, and footsteps echo in predictable rhythms, yet everything can shift in the space of a single breath. This is the story of Marianne, a 45-year-old woman who came in with a cough that had lingered too long, a fever climbing slowly, and a body that was starting to betray her in subtle, almost invisible ways. She was small-boned, stubborn in the way that people are when they've lived through enough anxiety to know the shape of fear. She had a daughter in high school who called twice a day, leaving messages full of homework updates and tiny triumphs. Marianne's laugh, soft and persistent, was the kind that could lighten a night shift, make a room feel less like a hospital and more like a place where humans could exist, if only briefly, outside of sickness. Marianne arrived one Tuesday night. To the casual eye, she looked like someone fighting off a stubborn cold. Her cough was annoying, but not catastrophic. Her breathing, steady enough to speak, masked the quiet work her lungs were doing just to move oxygen into her blood. By 7:15 p.m., the first nurse on shift noted her vitals. Temperature 101.8, heart rate 110, blood pressure 120/74, respirations 22, oxygen saturation 92. Borderline, but not yet alarming. She smiled when offered tea, joked about being a walking pharmacy due to her anxiety meds, and for a few minutes, the hospital felt lighter. Yet the subtle betrayals of her body were already underway. By midnight, small changes began to emerge. Her cough thickened, sputum heavier, and her breathing demanded more effort. Crackles appeared at the base of her right lung, soft, intermittent, but undeniable to trained ears. Oxygen saturation drifted downward, slipping from 92 to 88 on room air. A nasal cannula was ordered at 2 liters per minute, and the resident, a young doctor navigating the night like a series of bullet points, was notified. He made a note: start 2NC, CXR pending, continue ABX, reevaluate. The plan was in place, but in a hospital, a plan is only as effective as the speed with which it is acted upon. And sometimes, even the smallest delay can become catastrophic. By 3:40 a.m., the monitor in Marianne's room began to whisper danger. Respirations climbed into the mid-30s. Oxygen saturation fell to 86. Staff repositioned her, adjusted the nasal cannula, gave nebulizers, and watched her chest heave as if it were a bellows struggling to push air into her lungs. Her fear was palpable, a thin thread woven into every movement, every tremor of her fingers. She whispered that she was afraid of dying. The bedside nurse called her daughter, but the girl could not come. An exam awaited her in the morning. Marianne squeezed her nurse's hand and asked for small promises: to see her daughter again, to bake cookies, to live in the memory of ordinary moments. And so the nurses promised what they could, what little remained in the quiet of the night. A chest x-ray arrived around 4:30 a.m., showing worsening consolidation in the right lower lobe. The resident, now present, added a higher spectrum antibiotic and discussed escalation to a rapid response team if needed. And yet, time continued its silent theft. By 5:17 a.m., oxygen saturation plummeted suddenly to 74. Heart rate surged, then fluttered. Pupils constricted, skin grew cold and damp. Hands pressed into her chest, oxygen bagged, the room a flurry of urgent movements. Compressions were given, epinephrine pushed, defibrillator pads applied. The official code team would not arrive for 24 minutes. 24 minutes in which staff acted with everything they had: compressions, bagging, calling, yet every second stretched impossibly long. When the code team finally arrived, they moved with precision and authority. But it was too late. The attending pronounced the time of death, and the stillness that followed felt heavier than any alarm. Hey, Nurse Chat, what does escalation really look like? And why do we hesitate? Escalation is supposed to be straightforward. Recognize deterioration, call for help, notify the resident or attending, and begin interventions. Rapid response teams exist because nurses often see decline hours before a code blue. Yet hesitation is human. Fear of judgment, fear of paperwork, and the thought that I'm overreacting can paralyze even the most vigilant staff. Hierarchy plays a role too. In units where calling for help is subtly discouraged, people silence themselves. Delayed escalation is a leading factor in preventable deaths. Fixing it requires both systems and culture, clear protocols, easy access to RRTs, and empowering staff to call without fear. Empowered nurses save lives. By dawn, Marianne's room was quiet, but the echoes remained. Unanswered alarms, pages delayed, small gestures that were never enough to stop the inevitable. Root cause analyses would follow, meetings convened, and blame dissected. Administrators traced delays in paging systems, competing priorities for respiratory therapy, and a culture where early calls had sometimes been dismissed. Recommendations were made: improved paging redundancy, dedicated rapid response pagers, simulation training, and cultural interventions to empower nurses. The changes mattered for the next patient, but they could not bring Marianne back. Hey Nurse Chat, what is hospital culture and how does it kill or heal? Hospital culture is the sum of tiny interactions. How we respond to questions, whether we validate concern or roll our eyes, whether we punish mistakes or teach from them, it all adds up. Units that celebrate vigilance see better outcomes. Units that punish early calls create silence, and silence can be fatal. Culture shifts when leaders model humility, when debriefings are constructive, and when every call is treated as valid until proven otherwise. The cost of ignoring culture is immediate and human. The daughter arrived in the gray light of dawn, her grief crashing against the linoleum. Nurses stood quietly, offering presents rather than answers. Promises were recalled, small, human vows of ordinary joys that Marianne would never fulfill. Meetings followed, reports were written, changes implemented. The echoes of that night lingered. Hey Nurse Chat, what does a root cause analysis actually do? An RCA is a structured investigation into adverse events, seeking system failures rather than individual blame. It gathers timelines, interviews staff, and proposes corrective actions. It can succeed or fail depending on transparency, timeliness, and implementation. In Marianne's case, recommendations improved systems, but they could not undo loss. Over the following months, the unit learned. Dedicated rapid response pagers were installed. Simulations for nurses and interns became routine. Open incident reviews allowed bedside staff to participate in analysis. The culture began to shift. Calls for help were made earlier. Patients survived who might not have before. Yet Marianne remained absent from the halls, a quiet reminder of what happens when time collapses before help arrives. Hey Nurse Chat, how do nurses live with grief when the system fails? Grief is layered. Private grief, the pulse that failed, the hand that could not save. Professional grief, the endless what if that gnaws. Rituals help, debriefs, peer support, counseling, mental health days. Good units normalize talking about adverse events. Bad units expect stoicism. Healing comes when nurses are allowed to be both human and professional. Sometimes a patient arrives with chest pain, oxygen stable, but vitals creeping downward. A nurse calls RRT immediately. The team responds quickly. The patient survives. Gratitude appears later in a note, a whisper of light in the dark. This is the power of culture, preparedness, and permission. Small things that can make the difference between life and death. But permission alone cannot save a patient when the system is broken. Staff shortages, delayed pagers, and competing priorities can render vigilance powerless. The difference between permission and capacity is the difference between hope and tragedy. Hey Nurse Chat, how do staffing levels affect escalation? Understaffing multiplies risk. One nurse covering too many patients cannot notice subtle deterioration. Rapid response teams spread thin cannot arrive quickly. The fix requires administrative commitment, appropriate staffing ratios, contingency plans, and support roles. Nurses are not failures. Systems fail. Even with all these lessons, Marianne's story ends the same way, with her absence in a quiet room, her daughter holding the echo of a mother's laughter, and nurses carrying the weight of what happened and what they could do for the next patient. 3 reflection questions. 1. If someone you love is in the hospital tonight, would you know how to ensure nurses can escalate concerns quickly? And would you speak up if they couldn't? 2. What would you change in your hospital or future hospital to remove fear from escalation? Better pagers, different staffing, or cultural training, and which would you push for first? 3. For nurses, when was the last time you called an RRT and felt uncertain afterward, and what would have made that call easier or faster? Thank you for watching and for listening to Marianne's story. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss a single episode.